All right, Team Impact, welcome. It's Monday. Let's get ready to get cranked up here today. Independent and dependent variables, something new. You probably were exposed a little bit to con. But anyway, hey, let's get into this thing and let's have a good day, okay? The independent variable is the fixed variable or the constant. It will never waver. It can be represented by the x coordinate and is sometimes called the control. Okay? So when you think of independent and dependent variables, think of your parents being independent and you're dependent upon them. All right? So they are in control, they are constant, they are the x coordinate, and they are fixed. You can always go to them, right? The dependent variable is the responsive variable, and it is dependent on the independent variable. It can be represented by the y coordinate, and changes based on the independent variable. So you're growing, you're changing. Think of it that way. You are dependent upon your parents, and that's the difference there, okay? So, good stuff today. If you think of it that way, I think it's going to help you remember. Fingers are sticky for some reason there. Number one, Jameson runs M miles and burns C number of calories. What is independent? What stands alone? Well, what stands alone is the number of miles, right? And what is dependent upon that? Well, C, the calories. I think I spelled that wrong. Caloris. If I redo that, that's not very good. Calories. Sorry about that. So the number of calories you burn is dependent on how far you run, right? You can't burn any calories without running. Number two, the more hours H. Brady practices, the better his test grade G will be. So, what is independent, right? The number of hours. H, right? You can practice all you want, right? That's good. The more you practice, the test grade becomes higher. Becomes higher. It is dependent upon practicing, generally speaking, right? And sometimes we're lucky, right? Number three, and let me see if I can pull that down a little bit. It looks like it's a little four. Mike pays $8.99 per month for a streaming subscription. All right, so this is getting a little bit crazy here now, right? What is independent? Well, the number of months, right? So if you want it for 1 month, it's that. 2 months, it's what, about $18. 3 months, about $26. What is dependent upon that? Well, the total cost. All right. The more months, the more cost. A car travels at 60 miles an hour. What is independent? All right. Well, the number of the number of hours, all right? You travel miles per hour. So how long you drive and what's dependent on that? The total miles, right? The more you drive, the farther you go. Interesting, huh? Next up, each slice of pizza costs $6 at the football game. All right, well, you get one slice, it's $6. Two, that's expensive pie, by the way. Two is 12.3. So what is independent? The number of slices. Right? The more slices you get, guess what? The more cost you're going to pay. The more it's going to be. So the more you buy here, the more it goes here. You can't have cost without pizza, without getting any pizza. Number six, okay? The later Jessie stays up at night, the sleepier she is at school. Interesting. The later she stays up, the sleepier she is. So, what is independent? All right, the hours of sleep to me, right? You don't want to be sleepy, get more sleep, right? So, what is dependent upon that? Your sleepiness. Eepiness, sleepiness. Sorry, my pencil went a little crazy there. Sleepiness. So, if you want to be less sleepy, get more sleep. Right? So you're seeing how all these fit together. And again, I go back to the vocab, independent is fixed, it will not waver, and the dependent variable will change. It is the y coordinate, the independent is the x. So x coordinate left and right, y coordinate up and down. Let's flip the page and continue our path. So now on the next page, we're going to get into a little bit of graphing here. Okay. And that's where the X and the Y come into play, right? So graphs, oops, can you see that? Yep. Graphs and tables, tables, can also display independent and independent quantities. Use the graph below to determine the independent quantities. Well, we know going across here, all right, across the bottom, the x coordinate is independent. So what is it? The number of weeks, right? We know that stands alone. What is the dependent variable? Total miles. Right? We know that from just our vocabulary. The more weeks we have, the more miles we train, right? List the independent quantities here. Okay. So our independent quantities, where they intersect is 1, okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you're getting the idea. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm just going to go like that. And of course, our dependent variables, look at our interval here. How's it changing? So they're counting by 3. So our 3, 6, 9, 12, right? 15, and so on. Okay. All right. So we've established that X is independent, Y is dependent upon that. So now what we need to do is write an equation. So how are we getting to Y from X? So we always start with Y equals. So when I look at this, I'm looking for the relationship. How do I get from 1 to 3? Well, I add 3. Well, let's go to 2. 2 plus 3 is 5. Not enough. So let's go back to 1 and see if we can change our rule. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. So it looks like Y is going to equal 3X. Any number times 3, 3 times 9 should be 27, and there it is. So that's going to be our equation, our rule, okay? And that takes some time and some practice. So we deciphered that from our from our graph and our display, all right? So let's continue on. For questions 8 and 9, record the independent and dependent variables from each table, then write an equation that's going to represent it. So this is going to be a little bit different, and you're probably going to need your calculator here. So we can do that. So independent to me is the number of hours, right? Number of hours. And if you remember, this was always X and this was Y. Top was X and that was Y. And independent is miles, right? All right, so what is our equation? How are we getting to Y from X, right? So what I would do, and I'm going to use this calculator right here, is I would take my calculator and I would divide that by 2 and I'll get 130, and I'll divide that by 2 and I'll get 65, right? And then I'll take 260 and divide it by now 4, and do I get 65? Yeah, so let me check it one more time. 390 divided by 6, and I get 65. So it looks like to me Y equals 65X. So 65 times any of these numbers is going to give me the bottom number. And that is our function rule. And you're going to need that calculator, and trial and error is your best option there, right? Independent variable, number 9. Here's X, here's Y, is months, right? Dependent is total cost. All right, we can't have cost without the number of months. What is our equation? Well, y equals. So here we go. Well, this one's a little bit easier because one of our numbers in the x table or line is 1. So it looks like times 399. So let's take this 798 and divide that by 399, and we should get 2, and I did. So it looks like to me the function rule here is going to be 399 m number of months. And I should go back and change this x, and and change that to what they want is h. So that's my fault. So let me fix that. Okay, so 399 times any of these numbers up here will give me my y coordinate. Okay, excellent, excellent. Doing good. We're doing good. We're in this lesson deep, and I like it. And we're going to spend a couple days on this, so we'll review it. All right, let's get into it. All right, so next one up, it says list the independent and dependent variables of this. All right, well, independent. So to me, when we look at this is always x, that's y. X, y. Well, that gives it away, doesn't it? We know the x is independent, and the y is dependent upon that. We can't have this column without that. So real quick, they just want 3, 6, 9, 12. And our dependents are 165, 330, 495. You're getting the idea. And go ahead and fill out these other two, as I do, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm just going to fill out a couple of these because we get the idea of this, right? 16, look at our independents. They're going backwards kind of here. 16, 8, 4, 12, right? And our dependent variables are what? 56, 28, 14, and 42. Okay. So they're asking all kind of different goofy questions here, which is fine in different ways, but we have to be able to establish all of that. So good lesson today. We're into this thing about 13 minutes, which is excellent. If we flip the page, this is your homework. Take your time with this, and we'll get back to it Tuesday. Have a good day.